And welcome back to another episode of the Double Doing Podcast. My name is Brenden D. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We're talking Week 11. You know, a lot better slate on paper than it was last week. Last week still had some antics, still had some kookiness, but this week we got some bangers. This is a fun one. Mr. Warrensy, how we doing?
Such a sexy slate this week. Oh, so many good games. And I guess before we start, is this going to be up before the Eagles game? What's your prediction?
This will be out around either the Eagles game or after the Eagles game. I'm feeling confident in my Birds heading into this one, and we know how that's going to go.
Right. No,
whenever
no,
I'm confident
I think
they don't win.
You should be feeling confident. They're rolling. I think I'm going to take the points, but I got Jake Elliott kicking a walk-off 49-yard field goal.
Are you coming to my house to watch this one?
Sure am, buddy.
All right. Well, if you are, you better not be taking the points. All right. Well, there's let's start with like the least fun game of the week, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road to take on the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 13.5-point favorites. Yes, you were hearing that correctly. They're almost a 2-touchdown point favorite over Jacksonville. It is Mac Jones again. Trevor Lawrence has been ruled out. Last week, the Jaguars produced 143 yards of offense. That is the fewest that Doug Peterson has ever coached or been a part of as a head coach in the NFL. It is just, he's a dead man walking. Warrensy, any hope for Jacksonville heading into Detroit?
Oh, this is a game I want no part of. I think listeners know by now, you and I both don't really like the large spreads. The spread did touch 14 a couple times earlier in this week, but every time it's touched 14, some Jacksonville money has come in and knocked it down to 13.5. But who's betting on Jacksonville? Like you just said, Mac Jones looked so bad last week. They're dead men walking. They know that they have nothing going for them right now. The bet I like in this game, it's not going to make my card, but I recommend people taking Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown. He was at plus 110 when I was looking at it yesterday, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are giving up the most passing touchdowns in the NFL so far this season. So if you're getting plus money with Amon-Ra, I like that, but I like 3 bets more than that, and I'm going to take the Lions for the sake of the show. I think they get back on track. I mean, they threw 5 interceptions last week and still won the game. They didn't cover, but they're still 7-2 against the spread on the season. So I'm going to back my guys, the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I think that game pretty much you can rip up any Jared Goff MVP tickets you have. Go for it. I know you have one. I think that one can, that one blades it to bed, puts it 6 feet under, and the dirt is thrown onto it. Yeah, it's over there. I'm also on the Lions minus 13.5. I just put Lions 13.5, I guess, in my notes. I get this is where, if I had to pick something, that's where I would go. Couple things quickly. The Lions have only 103 third downs this year. That is by far the best rate in the NFL. They don't get to third down. They literally beat you on first down and then second down. This team, this offense just continues to roll. Even like in the second half against the Texans, they showed how good they are. It was a struggle in the first half, but even after all the Goff interceptions, they were able to produce a successful offensive game. And something I just wanted to throw your way quickly. We're kind of in like season award kind of year, right, where you're starting to look at who could potentially win some awards here. I think Brian Branch has a serious case for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, he did miss a game, and he was booted out of that Packers game. So that might hurt him. But right now, Brian Branch has 4 interceptions, 50 tackles, 24 stops, which is insane as a safety, 8 pass breakups, and he's allowing a 35.8 passer rating in coverage. Right now, if you were to look at betting markets, he's plus 4,000 to win Defensive Player of the Year. So I don't know. I think Brian Branch is having a hell of a year. He has turned into an absolute stud for them, and I'm really enjoying watching him play football.
Yeah, I think he has that all-pro spot on the first team just about locked up, but he's been unreal, and they need somebody to step up with the Aiden Hutchinson injury, right? And he certainly has.
All right, next up, we're going to your team.
Do you have? You don't even have this one.
You don't even have Bears gear on. You've been rocking Bears gear in the show for like 5 episodes in a row. Now you just already went to Blue Jays gear, a team that's literally not even playing right now. You can't even get a Raptors or Leafs gear on. We know where Wardsy's head at. It was rough last week. So they fire offensive coordinator. They fire Shane Waldron this week. Thomas Brown's taken over. I went back and watched some of that Bears game because we actually took it off our TVs at work because the game was so bad. It ended up being one of the two games that we just didn't have on the TVs. Went back and watched it. I was pretty concerned with what I saw from Caleb Williams. He looked shaky. He looks anchored in the pocket, if that makes sense. It looks like they're coaching him not to do much. Like
yes, exactly.
It feels like he is being overcoached in Chicago.
Yeah, and I do the same thing with Fields, where he's so scared of making mistakes. He coaches it into his players to never make mistakes. And if you look at Caleb, even the throws he's missing, they're never towards the defender. They're always away from the defender and away from the player. I mean, he's basically proving he's so scared to make mistakes that he's being so overly cautious. He only has 5 interceptions on the year, and I know this sounds weird. Like, I wish he was throwing more interceptions.
Yeah.
I wish I wish it meant he was throwing the ball, like taking chances.
That's what I think they should tell him this week. Like, yo, we got nothing going on right now. Like, it may be all right if you want to throw some tight window throws. Warnsy, he has one big time throw. PFF is a stat called big time throws, where it's like tight window throws deep down the field. He's attempted one of them over the last 3 games. He doesn't have a turnover-worthy throw, too. So I think both those stats can kind of go hand in hand, where like he's not even attempting these difficult throws, and he's not even putting the ball in harm's way. And what you loved about him at USC is that's what he did. Like, this is something that you lived and died with, this kind of part of his game. And I really hope that kind of comes to fruition here, and I really hope we kind of see Caleb unlock. Now, another thing, too, the problem with this is, like, there's problems at every single level. Like, this is just one thing. Like, I'm disappointed with what I'm seeing from Caleb, and he's not playing well. At the same time, their offensive lines are wreck. I was telling you earlier, Matt Pryor starting games for them. The Tevin Jenkins injury has basically taken away like the run game for them. And then the coaching, like it feels like Keenan Allen's like your deep ball guy, and like it feels like all the receivers' talents, like what they should be doing, is doing the opposite. Like, this feels like just not a well-oiled machine, I guess, is where I'm going with this. And it feels like there's problems just at every single level. So what is your confidence level in the Bears heading into Sunday?
Rock bottom. Rock bottom. This team finds a new way every year to disappoint me. I always re-listen to our episodes on Monday because I like to know the results of the games and then listen to what we say and say, hey, okay, I was on that game or I wasn't on that game. And listening to me tell people to take the Bears last week, I sounded like the biggest goof of all time. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry if anybody hailed me and took that sorry-ass squad of a team last week. I still do think the last half of my rant last week applies, and that it's Packers week, and they're going to get murdered by the Packers no matter what. It happens every single time. I was stunned that this line opened at 6.5 and is down to 5.5. People are betting on the Bears. Why? Can you give me one reason why you would bet the Bears this week?
Yeah. And you know what? I'm taking the Bears plus 5.5 in this game.
You're nuts.
Part of me thinks that there's going to be this little bit of an offensive coordinator bump. I do think you're going to see Caleb play better. The Bears are backs against the wall. They're fighting for their head coach here, and the Packers don't get after the quarterback, Ornsey. That's something
neither do the Patriots, dude. They had 9 sacks.
Listen, the Patriots blitzed at a 49% rate and played man coverage behind it at a 61% rate. That man coverage at a 61% rate was the third highest that any team in the NFL has ran this year. They blitzed and played man behind. This is not what the Packers did. This is what Jeff Hafley was supposed to kind of be going into this year, and it's something that he hasn't done as this year. And the Packers are not getting free blitzers. When they rush more than 5, they're 29th in pressure rate. They're not a good blitzing team. Edgerrin Cooper's like the only guy that they kind of get downhill, and when he's taken up, the Packers are not efficient at this. So I think the Bears can keep this one close. I think you're going to see some fight from this team. Are they going to win this football game? Probably not. I think 5.5 points is a lot as a home underdog in a divisional game. Now, Having said that, the Packers own this matchup. LaFleur's 10-0 against the Bears in his career. The Bears are 1-14 against the Packers in their last 15 games. Jordan Love is fully practiced. I took the Bears for show. Like, I don't love this pick. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not one of my locks at all.
Do not put money on it.
But 5.5 feels like a lot. I don't know. I've got this feeling you're going to see some fight from your boys, and I think they can keep this one within a field goal.
I don't even know if I'm going to watch.
You're watching. So you're taking the Packers minus 5.5 is what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. The Los Angeles Rams are 4.5-point road favorites heading into New England. Really disappointing game from the Rams on Monday night. They had turned the ball over twice. They were 0-3 in the red zone. The Dolphins sacked Matt Stafford 4 times. They put up a ton of pressure on him. And the Rams offense just felt disjointed. Like, you had the snap over Stafford's head. It was just kind of everything that went wrong for them could have went wrong. And they still kind of kept it close, but they need a big bounce back spot here. That was a game that you should not or could not have let go, especially with the Cardinals and 49ers winning. Now they're fighting to gain ground in this NFC West. What do you make of them heading into New England?
Yeah, Rams really let me down last Monday. I really liked that pick, and it did not go our way. Got to give a little hat tip to the Miami Dolphins defensive line. I guess getting Zach Seiler back was a huge, or is it Seiler or Sealer?
Seiler. I've heard multiple different pronunciations.
He balled out last week and just absolutely dominated Jonah Jackson, who's playing center. I don't know how I feel about this, but I thought getting Jackson back, they were getting Avila back on the offensive line. I expected big things from this Rams offense last week, and they got bullied at the line of scrimmage. Now, on paper, this Patriots front seven, if you remove the Bears game, this Patriots front seven has been getting bullied all season. Yes, they dominated last week, but I think that this has got to be a get-right spot for the Rams and a bounce back. I know 2 weeks ago they beat the Seattle Seahawks in overtime, but if you look at that box score, they got outplayed the whole game. So 2 weeks in a row, they've been thoroughly outplayed. I'm going to go back to the Rams, hoping that it's not going to happen for a third time. I don't know why I have such an affection for this team, but I think 4.5 is too short. I think if the Patriots had not won last week, I think you're looking at the Rams in that 6.5 type range. So the fact that Rams are coming off a loss and the Patriots are coming in off a win, think we're getting a better number than we could have. So give me the Rams.
Yeah, it feels like a game where both teams kind of regress to the means or progress to the means. That makes sense. Like, you'll see a better game from the Rams and you'll see a worse game from the Patriots. Jared Verse is 7th right now in the NFL in pressures. The Patriots will have the second highest pressure rate in the NFL. It sucks because Quinyon Mitchell's having such a great year, and basically in any other year he would win Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. But the fact that you have a defensive lineman like this producing at this level, and we know how these voters go. They just watch box scores. You look at the pressure rates, this kind of stuff. Like, if Quinyon Mitchell's had like 4 dropped interceptions this year, if like he catches 1 or 2 of those, maybe it's more of a fight. But it looks like Jared versus running away with this, and honestly, like he deserves it as well.
If this was a round of golf, you're teeing off on 11. There's still a lot of out of bounds coming up on a few holes to go. So
yeah, I was blown away. I feel like every week I'm kind of stunned of how good he looks, especially in the Dolphins game. Fisk is doing a really good job. I don't know. I think the Rams can kind of hold the fort here, and I think they can win this one by a touchdown. So I'm also on the Los Angeles Rams minus 4.5. All right, next up, Indianapolis Colts on the road to take on the New York Jets. The Jets are 3.5-point favorites in a football game. Last week I predicted the Cardinals were one of my locks. Took them, and my prediction was like, I think the Jets are done. I'm not buying this kind of resurgence after that game against the Texans. It looks pretty good. Prediction looked great.
To Deeger.
Yeah, that Cardinals.
That game was over in the first quarter, and my go-to chirp when a team gets dominated like that is, were they playing defense with 10 guys? Were the Jets playing defense with 9 guys? Like, they could not stop anything. It was just 5 yards, 10 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards, 12 yards. Kyler Murray going 17 for 17 to close that game. Jets are supposed to have a great secondary. Like, they had nothing working last week. Now you bring in the Colts, and you got what I'm assuming will be an angry Anthony Richardson. Give me the Colts plus 3.5. It's not going to be a lock for me, but no chance in hell I'm taking the Jets after last week.
Yeah, this Jets, I know that a lot of talks on the Jets offense and Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams. The defense has been horrid lately.
Since they fired Robert.
Firing one of the best defensive minds in football, and then your defense sucks. Who could have thought that coming? They are dead last in EPA per drive since they let go of Robert Saleh. In the NFL, think about that with the amount of talent they have. Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams. Like this team is too good to play like this. They're 26 in EPA per rush allowed. And I think that kind of goes to my prediction for this game. Anthony Richardson back really helps out the run game. Under Flacco, they had a 27.5% rush success rate, which is gross number. When Anthony Richardson's on the field, they are about an average run offense. So I think you're going to see a tick up in Jonathan Taylor, Anthony Richardson. They can run all over the Jets defense just like the Cardinals did last week, just like other teams have done in the past. The 49ers are another example when they ran all over them in week 1, even when Robert Saleh was there. I was looking, Anthony Richardson right now, 40-plus rushing yards, plus 105. I really like that. He hit that total over in his last 2 games when he was a starter. It's not going to be one of my locks, but I do think Anthony Richardson's going to have success on the ground. You're going to see a motivated him. He said like he's kind of at peace with this benching. And I don't want to go into another rant about how stupid it was because we've already talked about it on the show, but I really do think the Colts can take this one. I think Colts money line might not be the worst play in the world. This spread and the Anthony Richardson bets were kind of just off my list, but I like the Colts plus 3.5. And I think Anthony Richardson runs a lot, so look at his rushing totals.
If you like the Colts, I'd bet that soon. It's already come off the 4.5 down to 3.5. I don't know if it will get to 3. Probably see some Jets money if it does get to 3, but if you like the Colts, lock in that hook.
All right, Las Vegas Raiders on the road to take on the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 7-point favorites. Saw a funny quote from Antonio Pierce this week when he was asked about Gardner Minshew playing. He's like, he obviously gives us the best chance to win. I don't know if that's true. I don't think anyone's giving you the best chance to win, no matter who you're putting on at quarterback right now. Desmond Ridder saw some action, and then the last game that the Raiders played, the Raiders are just such a poor team to talk about. There's nothing exciting with this team right now. Their pass rush doesn't even really get after the quarterback, even with Max Crosby. He's kind of dealing with the injury. I have nothing on the Raiders side. On the Dolphins side of things, I thought their defense looked really good against the Rams. And we talked about that already. Zach Seiler kind of dropped back in the lineup, helps. Calais Campbell's playing really well. I think I don't want to go overboard and say like the Dolphins are not have a chance of making the playoffs, but like they're not out of this thing. They have
everything went their way last week, right? I mean, the Colts lost, the Bengals lost, the Jets lost. They won. Like in terms of having a perfect week, they got it last week.
They have the 3rd easiest schedule remaining according to opponent win percentage and 2nd easiest schedule according to betting markets. So this is a team that's not out of it. They still have something to play for here. And I actually liked what I saw from Tua out of structure last week. When the Rams got pressure, Tua was not afraid to get out of the pocket, make some throws. I have the Dolphins -7 here. I don't know. The one thing like you could look at is like the Raiders are off a bye and the Dolphins are on a short week, but I don't think that matters too much here. Like I think the Raiders are a dead team walking. I think the Dolphins have something to play for. So I don't love like the -7. I don't love betting big favorites, but I'll take the Dolphins for the sake of the show.
Yeah, this will be the game I watch the least of in the 1 p.m. window. Not much juice for me, but I'll side with the Dolphins too. Tua, he clearly has this offense back on track, and they couldn't even run the ball last week. No run game whatsoever, but Tua did enough with the arm. So they add a little bit of a run game this week. I think this offense could have a lot of success.
All right, let's get to an actual good game here. The Baltimore Ravens are 3-point road favorites heading into Pittsburgh. Very fun one. What's very interesting about this kind of rivalry here is we haven't seen Lamar play Pittsburgh very often. Lamar as a starter is only 1-3 against Pittsburgh. Think about that. Lamar's been in the league since 2018, and he's only started 4 games against his divisional rivalry or his division rival. So like this is like there's a matchup here that where everyone's kind of like the film nerds are excited. Everyone's kind of excited to see can Lamar take down this defense. And historically, like in those 4 starts, He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns. This is the only team Lamar has done that against in the NFL. So he's looking for revenge. He's been very vocal about it yesterday. On Wednesday, he was talking about like how he's excited to kind of hopefully end his Steelers' woes. Both the Pittsburgh coming off a win. They held it down against Washington. I actually thought they should have won that by more than a point. It came down to kind of getting the Washington jump off side. I thought I thought Pittsburgh, like if you got the fake punt down, which was a hilarious call inside their own their own territory. It was the right one though. They saw something. If the guy just catches the ball, it works.
Yeah.
He had
he's still running.
Yeah, exactly. You had the Jalen Warren fumble inside Washington territory, so things didn't go their way, and I thought they played better than a 1-point win. But Baltimore's a different animal. Warrensy, what you got?
Yeah, they outgained Washington last week by about 70 yards, so it was an advantage, not a crazy advantage. But the box score stat last week in that game that just absolutely blew my mind was Jaden Daniels, 5 yards rushing.
Mm-hmm.
They did an incredible job keeping him in the pocket. He only had 3 rushing attempts. They had the spy going. They were so disciplined in their pass rush lanes. That's, I think, you can really tell a well-coached team when their pass rushers are not just all over the place and giving up easy QB scrambles. I think the Ravens and the Steelers, the two teams in this game, I think are the two best teams in the NFL at doing that. And they're gonna have to do that again if they're gonna keep Lamar in the pocket. Washington last week as a team only had 55 yards of rushing. So if they can slow down Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson on the ground, I like Pittsburgh's chances of covering that number. Problem is, it's Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. It's a lot easier.
It's not Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the handicap in this game is if you think Pittsburgh can stop the run, grab the points. If you think that Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson are unstoppable on the ground, take the Ravens. I'm going to side with the Ravens because we've lost the hook. Now that the spread's down to 3, I like the Ravens better. When it was at 3.5, I like Pittsburgh. I think that's how close this game is.
The last 7 times these teams have played, the score has been within 6 points. So we expect this one to be close. Something that blew my mind, Russell Wilson on throws of 20-plus yards this season is 6th in total EPA. That's not EPA per play. That is 6th in total EPA. He's played 3 games this season. Like, they are living and dying off the deep shot. Baltimore Ravens defense is very susceptible to the deep pass. This is a pass defense that struggled. Kyle Hamilton's banged up. Something is telling me that the Steelers might win this one outright. I'm going to ride with the Pittsburgh Steelers here, +3. I love the Ravens. I don't think even if they lose this game, they're not considered one of the best teams in the NFL. I do. I just think the Steelers kind of match up well here. Mike Tomlin is an underdog, 18-5-1 as a home underdog in his career. So this is a spot they kind of thrive in. Do you think Mike Tomlin's coach of the year if the season ended today? I think that would be my pick.
No, yeah. I got to look at the list, but he's 100% a candidate, and he does this every year. But I also still think the Steelers' ceiling is not even AFC Championship. I still don't believe in this team long term, personally.
Yeah, I feel like they could definitely win a playoff game, and they could make some noise. But I think the Steelers team is better than past versions where we've seen them kind of like in this scenario.
I think the AFC, you have the big 3, the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills, and I think there's a cliff until you see the Texans and Steelers.
I don't know. I've got a funny feeling about the Steelers this week. I think I might even bet them on the money line, but I'm going to take them for the spread for the show.
Yeah, I do like George Pickens props. You said how bad the Ravens have been against aerial attacks, deep passes. It's also specifically against wide receiver ones, they've really struggled this year. Pickens is a clear number 1, so mix in some George Pickens props on a parlay.
All right, we still have 6 locks remaining on the board here.
We haven't done one yet. Hey, I know.
A little too late in this show. Something's got to give. And let's head over. So there's 2 games left on the 1 o'clock card. Let's head over to the Cleveland Browns on the road to play the New Orleans Saints. The Browns are 1.5-point road underdogs. The Saints obviously get their win last week. Darren Rizzi clogging the toilet before the game. Did you see that quote?
Yeah.
Just one of us. I was I'm happy for the Saints fans. I'm happy for Rizzy. He seems like a great guy. He was very electric on the sidelines. But I didn't think they played very well against the Falcons. I thought the Falcons kind of lost that game more than the Saints won that game. What you got?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. This is going to be my first lock of the week. I'm on the Cleveland Browns plus 1.5. And let's look at that Falcons-Saints box score from last week. Falcons had over 100 yards more than them. They out first downed them 25-14. Time of possession was 35-25. It was 3 Young Wei Koo missed kicks is the reason that the Saints won that ball game. And I think we're getting an overinflated price tag on the Saints because they just won one game where the Falcons lost it more than the Saints won. You're getting a Browns team off a bye. That O-line is healthier. Chubb should be healthier and in better game shape. The defense should be healthier. And I think the way that you beat this Browns defense is with the explosive play. They're kind of susceptible to the explosives, but they're very good defense down to down. Saints don't have explosive playmakers anymore with Olave and Shaheed hurt right now. I don't trust Alvin. I don't think Alvin Kamara is breaking off 25-yarders here to this week. So first lock of the week, give me the Cleveland Browns plus 1.5.
I told you before the show, two of my favorite picks are in the same game, and this is the one. I'm on board with you all day. I think this spread is kind of cuckoo's to me. I think the Browns should be favorites in this one. The Saints are just still so banged up, and like you said, I thought they like the defense still gave up 468 yards of offense to the Falcons last week. Like the Falcons still kind of able to do whatever they wanted. The Saints secondary is starting guys like Ugo Amadi, Shamar Jean-Charles. Who are these human beings in the secondary here? Cedric Tillman over 55.5 receiving yards right now is sitting at plus 100. That is my favorite bet of the week. He's eclipsed this in his last 3 games. He's averaging 85 yards per game during that stretch. He has 32 targets during that stretch. I already hit a Cedric Tillman over receiving yards total this 3 weeks ago because I thought it was underinflated, and again it's underinflated here. The Saints are allowing the 4th most passing yards per game in the league. I think you're going to see a ton of Cedric Tillman. I think he's going to eclipse this very easily. So love that. And I also like the Cleveland Browns plus 1.5. That is my second favorite pick of the week. I think they're a better team than the Saints. I think you're going to see Nick Chubb kind of rejuvenated. I think this might be the Chubb week we've been all fantasy owners have been looking for. Chubb fans have been looking for. The Saints can't stop anyone on the ground. Basically 2 Marcus Valdes-Scantling touchdowns deep. That's all they fucking had last week. So this is, I'm going to be heavy on the Cleveland Browns. Am I going to regret it? Maybe, but I'm all over it. Cedric Tillman over receiving yards and the Cleveland Browns plus 1.5.
Well, we'll be in the same boat then. 'Cause, I really like Cleveland this week.
Let's ride together.
Be my favorite pick of the week.
So I already have 2 locks in. We were talking about no locks. There's 3 off the board right there. You know what I was thinking about? I don't think
Saints Browns.
I don't think we have been against each other on a lock.
I know
year.
we haven't.
And we're heading 11 weeks in. We might have been. I can't recall it, but hopefully we do get that at some point. All right, last 1 o'clock game. The Minnesota Vikings are 5.5 point road favorites heading into the Tennessee Titans. I'll pass it off to you first. What you got?
Ooh, this is I just really have not enjoyed watching the Tennessee Titans this year. They're a tough watch. And Will Levis, he's kind of slowed down on the bonehead mistakes, or the meme mistakes, I'll call them, where he's not showing up on social media for the wrong reasons anymore. But it hasn't been good. And now you got Brian Flores and his heavy blitz rate, confusing defense. We could be back to the meme Levis this week. That would be my prediction. Vikings are really, really good versus the run. If Titans can't establish Tony Pollard, I just don't see a road here. I don't have faith that they're going to be able to run the ball, so that makes me take the Vikings 5.5. Vikings didn't cover last week. They didn't score a touchdown. Sam Darnold looked very, very shaky. I believe L'Jarius Sneed will still be out for the Titans. It is Wednesday, so it's tough for us to give injury predictions without that Thursday practice report. But if L'Jarius Sneed is out, I think they're going to have a really tough time with Justin Jefferson. And my prediction is the Vikings will score a touchdown this week. Give me the Vikings.
All right. Well, my third lock is going to come flying out in this one, and I might regret this, but I love the Tennessee Titans plus 5.5 in this game.
This was such a weird game for me.
I am selling Viking stock. I am not on board this team. I do not think they're a contender for a Super Bowl contender. I do not think they're an NFC contender. I actually think Sam Darnold might not be starting very many games going forward. I think he has looked
Who else they got?
Nick Mullins is on that bench.
Oh, Nicky Mullins.
Warranty, go on Twitter, type in Nick Mullins in the search bar, and see what Vikings fans are saying about him. They want him to start at quarterback. When your fan base wants Nick Mullins to start over your starting quarterback, you are in trouble. I think Sam Darnold is in serious trouble as a starting quarterback here. He's looked awful. He had 3 interceptions last week. He's had 5 turnovers the last 2 weeks. He now leads the NFL in turnovers in general out of all starting quarterbacks. He's red zone difficulties. Everything has looked hard for him. Ever since they lost Christian Darrisaw, this offense has completely gone the other way. And I think the Titans offense can have success against the Vikings defense in the fact that Will Levis isn't making as many stupid turnovers as he has. He's coming off a great game. He had 125 passer rating, threw 2 touchdowns, completed 18 of 23 passes. Last week, the Titans defense is, in my opinion, above average, and they're allowing the fewest yards of any team in the NFL this season. The Vikings barely beat Joe Flacco, barely beat Mac Jones. 5.5 as a home underdog. I don't know. I think the Vikings might lose this one outright. I'm actually probably going to sprinkle on Titans money line. This screams like the Vikings just coming back down to earth and kind of getting hit in the face with what they've produced over the last 2 games because they have not looked good even though they've won. So I'm selling Viking stock going forward, and it's starting today. I'm on the Tennessee Titans plus 5.5.
I think that box score for the Titans last week was heavily aided by a couple garbage time drives. But hey, go with your gut. I don't have a strong feeling on the Vikings. I do not like Will Levis in this Titans offense at all.
All right, well, my 3 locks are flown in after a slow start, and that is the 1 o'clock slate. We'll catch you on the other side, breaking down the 4 o'clocks.
The Double Doink Podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Life is hard. It's especially hard when you don't have someone you can open up to. Not everyone is comfortable talking to their friends and family about their personal matters or anything that is bothering them on a day-to-day basis. Mental health is so important to continued success in this world. Therapy is a great way to regroup and get everything off your chest. Insert BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the largest online therapy service, 100% online. They will match you with a professional licensed therapist you can trust. You can talk with your therapist however you see fit, via text, phone call, or video chat. BetterHelp has successfully helped over 4 million people worldwide deal with their day-to-day mental health issues. Use the link in the podcast description to get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.
And we're back on the Double Doink Podcast, finishing up, breaking down the night games and the 4 o'clock games. Still some bangers to come. Seattle Seahawks on the road take on the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are 6.5-point favorites. 49ers have dominated this matchup. They've won 6 straight by at least 8 points or more. So if the spread's 6.5, if history repeats itself, the 49ers cover the spread. Geno Smith has historically struggled against the San Francisco 49ers. He's 0-5 against them in his career. Seahawks are coming off a bye. They just had so many red zone woes. Like if they could just figure out like to get the ball in the end zone when they get there. That Bills game was rough. Like they've just struggled kind of inside the 20-yard line. Maybe the bye week can help them. Warrensy, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, you're focusing on the offense on the bye. I don't know if disappointed is the right word. What's your opinion been of the McDonald defense year 1 in Seattle? Because I don't know if I'd get to disappointed, but I'm a little worried.
It was funny because this year I kind of went in thinking they're going to start off slow. It takes a lot of time. Like Mike McDonald's defense when he started in Baltimore in 2022, they started off slow and then they picked up the pace halfway through the season. Then of course last year they were the best defense in the NFL. It's kind of been the opposite this year. They started off really good. The Seahawks defense was like first in success rate through 3 weeks, and then it's been kind of fallen off a cliff since. Now can this bye week trigger that kind of mid-year jump? We'll see. It's a whole new defense. They don't have a lot of as much talent as Baltimore did, so I'm not worried per se, but you're right. It has been disappointing if you're a Seahawks fan.
Yeah. Tariq Woolen he's taken a nosedive this season, and he was a big piece of this defense going in. This is a rivalry game, so I'm going to take the points in the +6.5 at the Seahawks. I don't know if you can really use I think because of the new coaching and the new defensive system, I don't like using the last 5 games have gone the 49ers way. I don't like that trend. But historically, the 49ers, after their bye, really get it going. I know they won last week. They didn't cover, but Jake Moody missed 3 kicks. That should have been a cover for the 49ers. It wasn't. But historically, in the Shanahan era, after their bye, they really get it going. So this could be a spot where the 49ers have some success. But division game, rivalry, off a bye, keep it close, McDonald. Give me the Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to take the points here too.
I'm assuming Metcalf's back, right?
He is. He's fully practiced this week. It looks like he's back.
So that will confirm I'm on the Seahawks.
Yeah, and I think the 49ers defense is shaky. Like, you can run on this defense. It's been kind of their Achilles heel even when they've succeeded over the last few years. Right now, they're sitting at 28 in EPA per rush allowed. So I think you can look at Kenneth Walker props. I was kind of eyeing his totals. They're pretty high, but I do think Kenneth Walker gets success on the ground. And when I was watching that game last week, Warranty, the Bucks 49ers, McCaffrey didn't look that good. Like, he looked like a guy that missed 10 weeks to start the season. And I was actually kind of worried for his health. Like, he played like 90% of the snaps. They did not like kind of slowly throw him into the offense. I think the 49ers offense isn't fully back, and you had the Deebo Samuel nonsense last week pushing the long snapper. I don't know. I'm still not bought in on this 49ers team, so I think the Seahawks can keep this one close. I like the points.
Right on.
All right, next up, the Atlanta Falcons are on the road, take on the Denver Broncos. Tough losses for both teams last week. Of course, the Broncos missed the field goal blocked at the end. They almost took down kind of their boogeyman in the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we talked about the Falcons already. They had 468 total yards of offense and only scored 17 points. They ran for 181 yards. Like, if you were just looking at the box score, cut out the points, the Falcons dominated that game. Both teams were looking to rebound here. What do you make of the Broncos as favorites at Mile High?
Well, this is going to be my second lock of the week, and I'm taking another dog. I'm going to be on the Falcons this week. I'm sticking with one of my takes. I think that the Denver Broncos are fraudulent. I don't care that they gave the Chiefs a go last week. Guess what? Everybody gives the Chiefs a go. Like, it's not an accomplishment anymore to lose to the Chiefs by 1 score. It's happened 7 of the last 8 weeks or something. Like, I don't really look at that and put a feather in the Broncos' cap. This Falcons offense is balanced. You said it. 180 rushing yards last week, 290 passing yards. I don't think that there is a formula when you're playing this offense. If you stack the box, Kirky's going to air it out. If you leave the box light, hand it off to Bijan. And even Algier. Algier gets too many carries for my liking still, but he's actually having quietly a kind of a nice year. But it's because this offensive line is healthy again, they're pushing bodies. I think this will be the toughest test that the Broncos defense has faced. And you're saying, wait, they played the Chiefs last week. Chiefs offense isn't like off the charts crazy anymore. Like, I think statistically the Falcons offense is a tougher matchup than the Chiefs. So I'm on Kirky and the boys. I think they'll see a little desperation after a tough loss last week. Give me the Falcons +2.5.
Yeah, this is one that just missed my board as well. I also like the Falcons. It's kind of a green light for me, just from the offensive statistical standpoint. I love a good offense against a bad offense. Falcons right now still 10th in EPA per play on offense, 4th in offensive success rate. The Broncos passing offense 25th in EPA per pass. The way to beat this Falcons team is to kind of carve them up through the air, not get the Falcons can't really get after the quarterback very well, but I don't think that matters with Bo Nix. Like, I don't think he's going to be carving up your defense through the air. I like the Falcons a lot. I like that pick. I think they go into Mile High and they get the win, and I'm with you. Like, I'm not sold on this Broncos team, and I don't think they did like anything crazy last week to the Chiefs that kind of should push
they scored
your narrative
15
away.
points.
Yeah, exactly. And And the Chiefs, like, they didn't really outplay Kansas City either. Like, it was the Chiefs kind of did it to themselves. So we just saw what a good offense did to the Broncos defense 2 weeks ago. So I do think the Falcons can get this one done on the road. All right, banger game. Kansas City Chiefs on the road take on the Buffalo Bills. Chiefs are black magic. Patrick Mahomes is Satan. Let's get it real here. I don't know what else to say. The guy just continues to get it done week in, week out. Lots of talk on the national media stage, on the radio heads, and on all those TV shows on ESPN and Fox, kind of throwing out the narrative that the Chiefs might be like the Philadelphia Eagles of last season, where they continue to win these one-score games, and then it kind of comes back down to earth now. I think the Eagles basically quit on their team last year. I don't think the Chiefs are going to quit on them, but there are some parallels to them. I kind of like how the Chiefs keep squeezing out these games. Something's got to give at some point. Now, I went into this week thinking I'm going to be all over the Buffalo Bills, and I like them to take down the Chiefs here. That injury report on Buffalo is ugly. Dalton Kincaid didn't practice. It looks like he might miss this game. Keon Coleman didn't practice again. Spencer Brown didn't practice. They're banged up on offense, and you kind of need your full horses here if you want to take down the Chiefs. So kind of push me away. I'm kind of a shrug the shoulders with this one. Do you got anything?
Yeah, it's my third lock of the week, and I'm going to take advice my wise friend Brenden once told me. When you see Patrick Mahomes as an underdog, you take him. I'm doing that. The injury report for the Bills is a factor, but the main factor is actually just the way that this Bills defense is built. They're a very fast unit. They have speed, but they are a little bit undersized. We saw Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens do whatever they wanted on the ground. Derrick Henry ran for $199 in that matchup. And I think if you look at this Kansas City Chiefs offense, the players that everybody's going to be talking about, I'm sure Taylor Swift's going to be in the building because she's in Toronto this weekend. It's just do you think she's going to drive down the QEW down to Buffalo, or do you think she'll take her little PJ down there? But
she takes a private jet 20 minutes away. She ain't getting out of a fucking car.
Yeah. But the media, they love talking about Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. The best players on this Kansas City offense right now are the big three in the middle, Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. They are going to run the shit out of the ball in this game, and Bills Mafia, you are going to just hate this game because it is going to be 5 yards of carry, 6 yards of carry. Patrick Mahomes has 3rd and 2. Oh, here's a little flip. There, they got it. And I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game. Give me Chiefs plus 2.5.
I like it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I hate to say it because I want to see the Bills win. Kind of as the homer pick here.
But here's another hot take. I think the Bills losing this game would be better for them. They're not beating the Chiefs twice in a year. Nobody's doing that.
It hasn't happened. The Bills are 3-0 in the regular season. The last 3 games against the Chiefs, and then they lose in the playoffs. So maybe like flip the script. Maybe change some things up. Lose this one
twice in the same year. Might as well save that one for the playoffs.
Patrick Mahomes 12-1-1 against the spread as an underdog.
There you go.
I took the Chiefs as an underdog against 49ers, and that's where I kind of said whenever you get Mahomes as an underdog, bet it. I think it's another good spot here. I think the Bills' offensive injuries are just going to be too much. So, breaking news: John Gruden has signed a multi-year deal with Barstool Sports.
What?
what a marriage that one is. I think he's going to fit right in. I've actually been a big fan of John Gruden's content since he's not coaching.
I thought
he's entertaining.
He was going to try to get back into coaching.
I think he's going to try. I think
that's been what he's been doing, right? Is he's like holding like coaches like.
He has a club. It's like Fired Coaching Club. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for Gruden. I think he might deserve to get back in the league.
Oh, he's got good
content.
Guy. Yeah.
Exactly. Entertaining guy. All right. Head to the night games. The Cincinnati Bengals on the road to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are currently 1.5 point favorites. Looks like the Bengals are going to get some reinforcements back. T. Higgins expected to play. Orlando Brown expected to play. Joe Burrow's playing out of his mind right now. Leads the league in passing yards, completions, touchdowns, and they're still 4-6. They need this one more than the Chargers need this one. Warrensy, what you looking at on Sunday Night Football?
Oh, this is a game that has me in an absolute blender. I think The spread is right where it should be, I think. Although the Chargers have the worst home field advantage in the league, they're actually just. Do you think this is going to be a more orange crowd or a more baby blue crowd?
Probably 50-50. I don't know if Bengals fans travel too well. I don't really have a good read on the Bengals fan base, but the Chargers definitely don't have the home crowd favorite.
Flexed.
It did.
This one got flexed in, right?
That,
so
that puts a wrench in travels plans and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not like people have had months to say, hey, let's circle this game and go to the Sunday nighter. So I don't have a read, but I think the spread is appropriate. Those reinforcements the Bengals are getting back, do you think that's T. Higgins?
It is, yeah. Like I said, T. Higgins is expected to play.
Okay, huge. So that's going to make me swing Bengals' way just because, but I think I like the over more than anything because I still really, really have questions about this Bengals defense. Trey Hendrickson might be the defensive player of the year so far. I mean, I believe he has 11 sacks. The rest of the Bengals team has 7.
6, I think. I think it's 6 or something like that. Yeah.
6? Yeah. Like, it's just, he's been a one-man wrecking crew for this defense, but I think the Chargers have the tackles to take care of him. That's the strength of their offensive line is the tackles. So if Trey Hendrickson isn't getting pressure, I don't know how they slow down this Chargers offense, and Justin Herbert's playing well. So I'm going to take the over for more than anything, but I guess I'll just lock in the Bengals because they're more desperate. I don't know. I don't have a great feel on this spread if you can't tell.
Yeah, this is like my least favorite game to bet. Maybe come Sunday night, I'll have a different view of it. The Bengals, I think, like, if you're, I think I'm gonna take, like, I'll take the Bengals +1 after the show, and maybe I'll kind of get more of a lean on that as the game comes closer. Something that's keeping me away is like the Chargers defense is so good at keeping explosives down. Like, they're so good at just kind of forcing everything underneath, and the Bengals kind of live and die from the explosive play. So I'm gonna take the Bengals +1.5, but I don't love it. I'm with you. One quick thing I was looking at, like I said, I was looking at these award odds on FanDuel. Joe Burrow +3,200 to win MVP. Let's say the Bengals run the table. Let's say they win the rest of their football games. Something happens to Lamar Jackson. Like, if Joe Burrow was on any other a winning team right now, like let's say Joe Burrow was 6-4, I don't know. Long shot bet I like.
Yeah.
I want to throw that out there.
I think that the MVP, this is the most runaway MVP season we've had in a long, long time.
Yeah, you'll need a Lamar injury or a complete choked down the stretch, but I don't know. Yeah. I think Burrow deserves flowers, man. The guy's playing out of his mind.
Like last year, like Lamar fans are going to hate me for saying this. Like last year, Lamar Jackson was about the 10th best quarterback in the NFL.
Josh Allen should have won it last year, man. Yeah, I always think about that. Lamar had 26 total touchdowns and won the MVP.
Yeah, he was literally the 10th best quarterback in the NFL last year. Baker Mayfield had a better year than Lamar Jackson last year. But this year, Lamar Jackson has put himself into like those. He's putting up EPA stats of like the 2013 Broncos, like those. And that's with his arm. I'm not even talking about his legs. Like Lamar is unquestionably the MVP so far this year.
All right, finishing it off, battle of the two Texas teams. The Houston Texans are on the road to take on Dallas in Jerry's World. Have you been following the Sun drama with the Dallas Stadium? It's my favorite story of the week.
Man, want us to build a whole new stadium?
Get curtains, dude. Like, you're a billionaire. Yeah. Throw something up in front of the Sun. It was hilarious to me how much the Sun affected that Eagles-Cowboys game for both teams. Yeah. Jalen Hurts in the second half couldn't see shit. And then on the other way, like CeeDee Lamb had a wide open touchdown, and the Sun was in his eyes, and he can't see the football. Oh, God. The Cowboys are a mess. Warrensy, last week against the Eagles, they had 49 net passing yards. I'm going to repeat that. 49 net passing yards. Cooper Rush last week went 13 of 23 for 45 yards in that football game. It was the worst passing offense I think I've ever seen. They kept it close in the first quarter. 34-6 doesn't even do it justice. This was like a 50 burger. The Cowboys looked awful. I don't know how they cover 7.5 here. The Texans getting Nico Collins back. They're kind of fighting to gain some ground in the AFC. This was another game that kind of just missed my board. It was a Monday night. I didn't love it enough to lock it in. But what do you? The Cowboys with Cooper Rush, zero trust. Zero trust.
Yeah,
the
zero
Cowboys
trust.
are a fade for the rest of the season.
I hate that this is 7.5. It makes it tough, but what I'm going to be doing for this game is going to be attacking Joe Mixon props. Last week, the run game did not get going for Houston at all. Mixon only rushed for 46 yards, but that was on 25 carries. Like, the run game was not working at all, and they just kept handing it off. So, bringing one of the league's worst rush defenses, I think if you're telling me he's going to get 20, 25 carries again, I think he's going to go over his number, which is probably around 75, 80. It's a Monday nighter, so it hasn't been listed yet. That's why I can't for sure give it out as a lock. But I'm going to be on Joe Mixon props. It's pretty chalky, but I also see a game state where the Texans are in the lead throughout, going to be running the ball more than throwing it. But yeah, I'm not taking Cooper Rush. Give me the Texans.
All right, that's all she wrote. I'm 4-2 in my last 6 locks. I think we should get a lock.
0-3.
I think we should get a lock recap after this week. But George Kittle, I just needed 4 more yards from him to get the sweep last week. Warren V, why don't you recap what you put on the board today for your 3 locks?
All righty, I'm actually on 3 dogs this week. Give me the Cleveland Browns plus 1.5, the Atlanta Falcons plus 2.5, and Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. T Swift, I'm coming with you from Toronto. Save me a spot in that PJ. I'm on the Chiefs plus 2.5.
All right, Cedric Tillman over 55.5 receiving yards. The Cleveland Browns plus 1.5, and the Tennessee Titans plus 5.5. It's a dog week. Let's bark, boys. Let's bark. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Wherever you listen to your audio podcast, please give us a like and a review, and we will talk to you later.